Good evening, gentle listener, and welcome to Do Whom It May Concern. On this episode, Scandalous Stephen sits in his famous corner and is held there against his will as Wondrous William brings up plenty of topics for them to discuss. On this 24th episode, this is an episode to watch. Now prepare to be concerned and enjoy the show.
Prepare to be concerned. That's perfect.
Shout out to the people who know what I'm actually referencing there. If you don't worry, I'm going to explain it. But Steven, what do you think of that new intro?
I don't know. It's definitely a little bit interesting. It definitely seems kind of cinematic, if you will. I think.
And I should tell you that it is the least bit original because I have copied that off of a podcast that I've been watching or listening to a lot recently.
Yes.
Distractible. For those who know our Markiplier, this is a podcast he has with two of his friends where it's called Distractible, and each episode starts out with, I don't know if it's one of them or just a voice actor who just has this, "Good evening, gentle listeners, and welcome to Distractible." It's just a very performative way of introducing the episode. I really liked it. So for once, I just wanted to start off an episode like that, just to add some variety to
You heard it here
our
first,
episodes.
folks. You heard it here first, folks. Will is gonna get into voice acting.
Oh yeah, yeah. I actually would like to be a voice actor, even though I'm doing nothing to like chase that goal or like convince anyone to give me a part. It's just one of the things where it's just like I would like to do that. Actually,
It's on his bucket list.
it's on my bucket list. Yeah, to be a voice actor in something. It doesn't even have to be professional. Just like if anyone of y'all are making a web series or something and y'all need voice actors, hit me up. I can do a whole bunch of voices. I can do an Australian voice, mate. You know what I mean? I can be Australian.
He can try.
I can be an
at
old
least.
timer.
He can try.
I can be an old timer to be like, look at these kids who are on my lawn. You know, why on my lawn? Or I can be a guy from the streets. You know what I mean? Just like, oh no,
He
I'm
belongs
doing
to
more
the
of a
streets.
California voice. Like, hey, what's up, dude? You want to go surfboarding with me? Maybe later we could go eat some broccoli pizza, man. It'd be so
Broccoli
dope.
pizza.
Whee!
No.
Yeah, that's that best food that they got in California, man.
It's that healthy food, you know, man.
Yeah, you gotta stay health conscious, you know, to make all the sick moves and pick up all the chicks. Chicks just dig broccoli pizza, man. Welcome to California.
So on another
If y'all
note,
need a California, dude, that was my audition right there.
that's his official
I think
audition.
it was absolutely impeccable.
I'm not gonna comment on the performance display that I just witnessed, and we're
There's nothing to say. It was simply perfection.
on another note. You guys might notice that after the last two episodes of Will putting that excellent graphic in place of my normally exquisite face, I am actually back, coming at you with the very best in fashion. In
Fashion, yes, because no one else in the game is brave enough to don a long sleeve. Is that
maroon
red, brown?
It's like
something?
maroon red. Unmarked,
Maroon red.
no words, no patterns, solid colors
Someone
for
looked
the
at that
win.
color and they were like, yes, that should be called maroon red.
I don't know. It's like navy red, I guess. I don't know.
Yes. Fashion industry is shook right now. Just like, oh no. Someone else has invented peak fashion.
Peak fashion. But nevertheless, you guys have to deal with looking at me again. I'm sorry. For the audio-only listeners, I know you don't care.
Yeah, we need to remember sometimes that even though we advertise our YouTube uploads, we also have everything on like other services, or at least sometimes we do. Other times we just have episodes not out on them.
Yeah.
Really,
Speaking of that,
really
I'm
on top of things,
I'm
Steven.
still behind on getting the episodes uploaded, but I'm gonna probably try and work on that at some point this week, and probably by the time this episode is out, All of the episodes will be up to date on all of our audio platforms. So you can go listen to those, go check them out, share them with your friends, listen to them while you're driving down the road.
Mm-hmm.
Listen to them
Listening while you're driving. If you're driving right now, prove that you like our podcast by just making a sharp right, no matter where you are. Even if you're in left lane of a highway, just make a sharp right now.
Even if you're
and if you do it, I
even-
will give you the cool guy award in our Discord, which you need to join as well. Link in the description.
Asterisk must join Discord to be eligible.
For a cool guy role, I'm gonna make that just like.
Bro, somebody is actually going to do that, and then they're gonna try to blame us, and then they're gonna be in court being like, "But the funny guys on the internet told me to do it," and then everybody's just gonna laugh.
It's just because you didn't do it correctly.
Yeah,
you didn't turn hard enough, and that's why you got in a wreck, and that's why all those people on the road got into that wreck. Just letting y'all know.
You just gotta get better.
It's just because y'all didn't do it correctly.
You just gotta get good. It's if you got in a wreck, if you got in a wreck for making a random sharp right, then that's just a skill issue.
Yes, a skill issue. Just get good.
Speaking of skill issues. Speaking of skill issues, it's also a skill issue that Will doesn't happen to have access to an amazing facility such as this one that I am currently sitting in, labeled Stevens Corner. And this facility is also brought to you by HyperX, the official peripheral provider of the Auburn University Student Center game room, which I am using to record this podcast. Go check out HyperX on their website. It's probably like hyperx.com or something. I don't know. They have quality products.
Are the boring noises off yet?
They have quality products.
Oh, no. Are they done yet? The boring noise is done yet?
We're done. We're done.
Okay.
This video is also brought to you by Raid Shadow Legend.
No, it's not. It's brought to you by Legend Shadow Raid, the comparator of Raid Shadow Legends.
Yes. But
we really want to give the underdog a chance to have a sponsorship as well.
But it is actually brought to you by HyperX, at least the facility which I am using to record is.
Yeah.
But
my side of the podcast is brought to you by me and only me. I'm self-independent. I don't need no corporation or no facility to make stuff happen. I do it by myself. That means I'm different. I'm built different.
But with that absolute sellout out of the way, we have an absolute... we're going to be opening the podcast on a bang today because, as you know, I am attending Auburn University, and Will happens to be an Alabama fan. And there's a little bit of a disconnect there.
Would you like to tell us what happened this past Saturday?
So this past Saturday, as I'm sure that most everyone watching the podcast is probably aware, was the Iron Bowl. And if you don't know what the Iron Bowl is, I'm not going to tell you because
it's a bowl made of iron.
If you don't know what the Iron Bowl is, I'm not going to tell you because you do not deserve to be a human being if you do not know what those two words put together in that order mean.
Dude, why so mean? Telling them they don't deserve to be a human.
So
we're taking away your human rights.
So
for not knowing football. That seems a little extreme if you ask me, but
in order to explain just exactly what horrors went down in that particular football game that occurred last Saturday, I will use a list of exactly 7 words arranged in a very specific order. Listen closely. 4th and goal from the 31.
Wait, hold on.
Try to turn it off, hold on.
So yeah, go on. Elaborate.
So this game is pretty close, right? You know, it's been an interesting game. We're very close. Auburn's at 24, Alabama's at 20, right? We're up by a point. You know, we've got them. If we can just get a stop, force a field goal, we can run out the clock. Auburn can win. They've had a bad season. They haven't been playing that well. A win over Alabama in the Iron Bowl would mean so much to this team right now. So guess what happens? Alabama's on some yard line that's close to the goal. I don't know. And they do that funny thing that they always do at near the end of the game, especially when they're winning. Or, well, they actually weren't winning in this case, but especially when they're cocky, they know they're about to do something good. They do that funny thing where they miss their snap and the ball just goes flying backwards. It's very funny when it happens. Alabama exclusive, by the way. No one else does that.
Yeah, totally. Totally.
It's a third down play. They miss their snap. Ball goes flying backwards. They lose 18 yards. All of a sudden, it's 4th and goal on the 31-yard line. They can't kick a field goal because they won't win the game. Obviously, they've got to go for it. It's 31 yards to run. 4th down. If they don't make the end zone, that is it. Alabama players have lost all hope at this point. Auburn players...
They will be lined up for execution if they lose.
Alabama fans have lost all hope at this point. Auburn fans are losing their minds. And then what happens? Jalen Milroe throws a pass to the back corner of the end zone to some receiver. I don't know. It's a stupid play. Auburn, you want to know? Listen. I don't care. I don't care if you know anything about football. I want you to listen to me right now.
Y'all don't have to. You just make a suggestion. You don't have to do anything. Y'all can listen to me.
They had 4th and goal with 31 yards to go. They had to make it 31 yards.
Yeah, we know that already. Get to the good stuff.
Alabama's quarterback. You want to know how many players Auburn sends at that quarterback to try and get him to mess up that pass. You want to know how many players Auburn uses to try and stop this quarterback.
How many players?
2 whole people they send to the quarterback to try and stop him. It's 4th and goal. This is the game-winning play. And how many players does Auburn send at Jalen Milroe? 2!
And even then, with all those other people in the back acting as linebackers, like trying to block all the receivers.
I swear.
My man still found a receiver.
I swear. Jalen Milroe had time to leave Jordan-Hare Stadium, drive all the way back to his home in Tuscaloosa, grab a beer, sit down, watch the entirety of the first and third quarters, finishing that beer, not get hungover because he slept and the beer wore off, drive back down to Jordan-Hare the next day and go back out on the field and still have time to throw that pass.
I love your analogy. You told a little story just to emphasize how much time he had.
Yes. Because Alabama's offensive line is pretty good, I'll give them that, but Auburn also sucks at getting through it. Listen, we know Auburn has been a bad football team. I didn't expect them to win that game. I'm honestly surprised it was as close as it was. But
yeah, I was too.
That's the experience that both Alabama and Auburn fans had yesterday. It's kind of ironic. People are saying it's ironic because this year happens to be 2023. Wow, shocker. Which is
But what about 2023?
Yeah, so it was actually the Iron Bowl in 2013. If you remember, Auburn had one of their own miracle plays. Alabama was kicking a long field goal and it fell short, and Auburn basically caught the ball and ran it 99 yards down the field to the opposite end zone and scored they call it a kick six to win the game. But it was the point being that it's a really big, nearly impossible miracle play. And people are saying that it's ironic because it's the 10-year anniversary of that happening, and Alabama pulls off this 4th and goal from the 31 play.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it doesn't sound as crazy of it happening, but still, I mean, it is pretty cool how the tides
Yeah.
have turned. Literally, the tides, roll tide.
Yeah, yeah.
See what I did there?
Yeah,
Tide, roll
yeah.
tide. You get it? Do you get it? Do you get it? I need to know. Do you get it?
I'll tell you what I am gonna get if you don't stop. So that's
Okay.
that's how college football has been going, at least in the SEC, especially
Meanwhile, let me pull the. Meanwhile, in the CUSA, Jacksonville State was having not a fun time with New Mexico State.
Oh yeah, let me just check
And
on
they're-
that game. I haven't seen the results for that game. Let's just go check on that real
Oh, you
quick.
don't need to look it up. I'll tell you what happened.
No,
right.
no.
So New Mexico State, throughout the entire game, they were winning, but we had a moment in the fourth quarter where we almost pulled off a comeback. And if we had beaten
Almost.
New Mexico State, then we would have been
Oh,
better than
17 to
Auburn
20.
by default.
17-20. That's kind of close, honestly.
If we had beat now, here's the deal. If we had beaten New Mexico State, and if Auburn had beaten Alabama, well, it doesn't even matter even because that would have meant that
If Auburn had beaten Alabama, it would have been pretty funny after we lost to Mexico
Like-
State the week before.
we won against New Mexico State, who won against Auburn, who would win against Alabama. That would make us better than Alabama, thus solidifying ourselves as the best college team in the world.
I mean,
By default,
Georgia
it makes
still.
so much sense. Shut up. I don't know
Georgia
what Georgia
exists.
is.
Georgia
Never heard.
exists.
Didn't ask. Don't care.
Georgia's gonna
Fell
win.
off. Fell ratio.
Georgia's gonna win a third national championship. Just you watch. I'm gonna be watching the SEC championship, and I'm gonna be rooting for Georgia. You know it.
I'm gonna root for Alabama, even though it's more than likely gonna go to Georgia. But if Alabama wins, I'm gonna be happy. I need happiness.
I will kill all your happiness if Georgia wins. So yeah,
But yeah,
that's college
football right
football.
there.
That's college football. I talked in a previous episode earlier in the season how like the SEC had kind of like couldn't figure itself out because there was all kinds of craziness going on. The standings in the SEC have since kind of stabilized and gone back to what you would kind of expect the standings to look like on a typical year, except for Missouri being ranked second in the East, but we're just going to ignore that. But yeah, that's the state of college football and the results of the Iron Bowl that really neither Alabama nor Auburn fans want to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, Alabama fans do generally hate the fact that it was pretty close, especially with how
Yeah.
Auburn was this year.
Auburn-
But also, Alabama hasn't had a really good year either.
So, like,
They've
here's
been
the
struggling.
thing. Here's the thing about it. Auburn hates that they lost. Alabama hates that they almost lost. Because
Right.
Alabama doesn't think that they should have tried that. Like, they would have lost if they hadn't pulled off that one play. They won
Yeah.
by one play, and it was a really crazy play too. So Alabama's mad that like it took that much to win, and Auburn's mad obviously that they
Right.
lost. So neither side of the fan base really wants to talk about this game.
But we're talking about it anyways. Welcome to this podcast. Giving the people exactly what they want people to talk about.
Exactly. Wow, we spent almost 20 minutes on the first topic.
Yep.
That shows you how.
And now it's time for a second topic. So this one is going to be a little weird to introduce. And I wasn't going to talk about this because I had no idea about this whole topic. But today I was in biology class and the teacher said something, the professor rather, he said something very interesting that had me kind of perplexed. And I also fact checked this, and it's kind of interesting. So you know what chlorine is, right?
Well, yeah, it's a an element on the periodic table. It's relatively reactive. It's I think that it naturally exists in a gas form. I'm pretty sure.
But you know what it does to like pools and stuff, right?
Oh yeah,
Why people
it's
have it in
used a
pools?
lot. Well, it's used a lot as a cleaning agent, not only just in water type things like pools, but it's also the main ingredient in bleach, which is used for a lot of disinfectant purposes. Like some people put it in their laundry. It's used a lot in
Yeah.
pools and other like applications of water where you want to keep water clean. But yeah, that's kind of people know it most commonly for its use in pools.
Right. So he was talking about chlorine, and he said something very interesting. He says, according to the CDC, no one really knows specifically how chlorine works. Like, we know what it does, but we don't exactly know how like what the mode of action is on like a, you know, tiny level, like what it does. And I found that super hard to believe because it's just like
Yeah.
we've had chlorine for like we've known about it for hundreds of years, and we used it in pools. And I just find it hard to believe, like, how do we not know how it works on like doing what it does? Like, if we've had this long, what are your thoughts on that?
I feel like, and I can't really fact check this either because I obviously did not do research in preparation for this podcast because that would take.
I'll get into that, but just on that first impression, what do you think?
Yeah. I would say like so. First of all, I want to say like I do agree with you that I find it kind of hard to believe that like something that's been around for that long and that we've been using for that long is something that we don't know how it works because I feel like scientists probably would have, done studies and found out what it is about because like obviously we know what it does. So when you have
Yeah.
something like that, when you know like what the effect is, usually we find out pretty quickly what the cause of that effect is. And I feel like there's probably some source of information out there on the topic, but at the same time, I also do respect like your professor who said that, like as a college professor who obviously has, some amount of knowledge that is probably more than mine. Um, so I respect what he says, but I also do take it in terms of like, maybe it's not entirely accurate.
After that class, I went home and I Googled it. I just Googled how does chlorine work? And I got an answer that seemed pretty cut and dry. It was something along the lines of just like it like I forgot exactly what it said, but it seemed like that's what chlorine does. So the fact that they're saying they don't know exactly how it works, it's just like it's right here. Some other health organization put it into words what it does, but the CDC has a quote where
Yeah.
like it was in a PowerPoint that my professor had, where it's just like they said we don't know how this works.
I mean, maybe the thing is like the CDC doesn't know how it works, which is kind of interesting because that means that like somebody else figured out how it worked and the information just didn't get passed along. But I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, that's something very interesting, and it's one of those things where I probably should have done even more research, but at the same time, I have what a lot of people would call the big dumb. That's something you got y'all at home. You gotta realize about this podcast. We both have the big dumb. We're just saying
This
stuff
entire
that-
podcast is driven by the concept of the big dumb.
Yeah, but I just can't help but imagine just like. And we had a discussion about this in class too, because some people, including myself, were like, How could this be when
How could
it's
this
been
happen
around?"
to us?
Yeah, and also another thing I brought was just like, well, if we don't know how it works, and it's like obviously nothing bad, like obviously it causes like irritation, like if you have it in your eyes and stuff, but like how do we
Yeah.
know that it doesn't have like very very long, like side effects that takes a long time to form? Like how do we know this isn't like evoluting us into like having like I don't know, like
didn't-
fish hands or something?
I just want to point out, so I just went and Googled the same question, how does chlorine work, out of curiosity, and literally the second result on Google says with the quote, chlorine kills bacteria through a fairly simple chemical reaction. They call it fairly simple. So,
Yeah.
obviously
So
it's,
I just yeah. Go ahead.
obviously it's something that like we at least understand on a fundamental level. Like we know what it does and we know how it does it. So Like,
So I'm just kind of baffled as to like that quote and like the professor saying we don't know how it works when I just Googled it.
Yeah.
Unless it's feeding us false information. Like one thing the professor did also say is that there are theories as to how it works, but none of them have been like confirmed. So I do want to like preface that by saying it could very well be just a theory, like Matt Pat.
A game theory.
That's awesome. And speaking of Matt Pat, one other thing I'm gonna say, just like, have you seen the Five Nights at Freddy's movie, or at least know about it?
I know that it exists, but I know absolutely nothing about it.
There's a scene with Matt Pat in it. He basically plays like someone who works at like a restaurant. He's like the waiter. It's like, what can I get y'all to eat? And then someone's like, oh, we're not eating here. He's like, you do know that breakfast is the most important meal of the day. And someone says something, and then he's like, people say that, but you know, it's just a theory.
I need to see that scene.
The movie.
I need to see that scene now. I don't care about seeing the whole movie. I need to see that one scene.
Movie Matt Pat scene. You'll find it. It's under a minute. We're gonna take some time right now and give Steven time to look up the scene and watch it for himself.
He wants me to do it. He wants my live reaction.
Live reaction right now. We're gonna show him what true cinematic masterpieces look like.
Matt Pat FNAF movie. Let's see. There's videos that he did about it. I need the actual clip.
You'll see, like he's like in a diner in like a busboy kind of.
There's one that's like 29 seconds long.
Yeah, it's a very short scene. It's very brief.
All right, this is probably gonna pick up on the mic.
Okay.
Welcome to Sparky's. Could I set you folks up with some appetizers?
We are not eating.
Well, that's no fun. You do realize that lunch is the most important meal of the day.
Thought it was breakfast.
Some people say that, but you know, it's just a theory.
Are you being paid by the word, or could we have a minute? Thank you. Where were we?
Nice.
So as you can hear, he literally says, it's just a theory.
It's just a theory.
And apparently, from what I've read, while they were filming, they had a shot of him like saying it high energized, but it's like some people say that, but that's just a theory. They had to say it like that initially, but then after the first take, they were like, "Yeah, no, say it more naturally."
I love how he was like.
In any other context, that like, who would say that? Like in normal context, who would just say that? But because it's Matt Pat, obviously, like you can't have him in a movie and not have him say that.
It's kind of like that. It's kind of like that thing where like you meet a famous person that's like, you know, they've acted in a movie or like they've voice acted in something, and they're like famous for a particular quote, and you meet them and someone's like, say the line. It's kind of like that.
Say the line. Say the. Yeah. Or like someone who's like really well known for one role, but that one role requires them to like put on a certain voice. Kind of like what I did at the beginning was like, well, I put on a Californian accent or something like that.
Yeah.
And they go up to us like, hi, how are you? And it's like, you don't sound like that character.
You don't sound like that.
Do the voice. Do the voice. It's just
Matt Pat normally sounds like, hello, Internet. Welcome to Game Theory.
And then you meet him in real life, he's like, oh, hi, how are you?
Hey, can I set you guys up with some appetizers?
Really funny if you met one of the celebrities you looked up to, they're like serving you at a table, like as a waiter. It's like, oh man, what happened to your career?
Well, you know, the whole game theory thing kind of went south. People just weren't watching it anymore.
I got blackballed because one of my game theories turned out to be true, and they thought I was leaking information.
So they issued a cease and desist, and I had to find other forms of profit. So here I am.
They put a cease and desist on my entire channel, so I couldn't access it no more.
That's low-key something that YouTube would like actually do these days. It's kind of sad.
Probably.
We're gonna get
It reminds me.
we're gonna get
again,
cease
kinda
and desist on our
topic,
channel for something.
But this reminds me of another YouTube situation where I'm going to say these two names. I'm going to see if you know who they are. Sniper Wolf and Jax Films.
I have heard of Sniper Wolf, and I know there's a lot of controversy surrounding her right now.
Basically, there was a YouTuber named Jax Films who like poked some fun at Sniper Wolf for the type of content she made. She made like reaction videos, and like it was like lazy content. So he made some jokes at her, and he even made an entire channel like poking fun at her content style.
Now that's dedication
So
right there. When you make an entire channel that's just dedicated to poking fun at someone else's content.
And so in response to that, and she was like getting annoyed at him. So what she did, she on Instagram, she posted a picture of Jax Film's house and like posted it on Instagram and basically doxed him.
Nice.
Just like out of frustration, saying that he's like a creep and he's stalking while she herself is being a creep and stalking by taking a picture.
Man, look at this guy. Look at this guy. He's such a creep. He's stalking me. Here's a picture of his house as proof, you know? Like just the irony in that statement.
Basically, yeah. And it took YouTube a while to like actually do something about it, despite the fact that like so many people picked up on the story immediately. It took them a while before they were like, okay, fine, we'll punish Sniper Wolf temporarily, quote unquote.
Temporarily.
Yeah. So it does that whole thing you said about YouTube would really do that. I would not be surprised, you know what I mean?
We've turned this into a whole topic of its own.
Yeah, it started from one topic and then went to another one and then went to another one.
Yeah.
We started talking about chlorine and then we went straight to Jax Films.
The rabbit
from chlorine
holes.
to Jax Films.
You got it. It's the trail. It's
What's
the
up
trail
to
of
terrorism?
rabbit holes. We got way off topic. This was not on the topic.
I mean, we
points
were
at all.
kind of done. I was kind of done with the other topic. I didn't really have anything else to add to it.
He just told me I needed to
than-
see MatPat in the FNAF movie.
Yeah, that was also like the fact that you didn't know that I was able to show you something like that was really.
He was
funny.
able to put slightly more culture in me, and now we're going to move on to something slightly more cultured with the one, the only, the viewer-certified favorite segment of any To Whom It May Concern podcast episode on the internet, the Kanye, segment.
And for this Kanye segment, I would like to travel back to the year of 2018, where he dropped a song called Lift Yourself. And this song was one of the most lyrically amazing tracks ever. And the genius behind it was most of it wasn't even lyrics. It was all production.
He was a spiritual, lyrical. He was
upon your feet, lift yourself upon your feet, and then a bunch of cool little production stuff. It was like do 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 do, and then he hyped up his verse by saying, "This next verse, though, these bars, watch this."
Watch
and then
this.
The greatest piece of lyrical mastery right here. I should quote, "Poopity scoop, scoop diddy whoop,
No, I'm
whoop
done.
dee scoop dee poop,
I'm done.
poop dee scoop dee,
Done.
scoop dee whoop,
I can't.
whoopity scoop whoop poop,
I can't.
poop diddy whoop scoop, poop poop scoop diddy whoop,
I can't.
whoop diddy scoop, whoop diddy scoop poop."
Done. I'm out.
And that right there is what I call lyrical genius. And these are lyrics that are so good, it made my partner, my podcast partner, leave the room. And all I see now is the screen behind him. And I think it's safe to say he is never coming back. So I'm just going to continue these topics by myself. Just kind of remind me how alone I am. And he's back. Never mind. All right.
Pure lyrical genius right there.
Mm-hmm.
The
Pure
musical
lyrical
world,
genius.
the musical world was not ready.
And after he dropped it, the musical world was never the same. And that's it for the Kanye segment right there.
Yep, the segment that will go down in history as the segment that almost made Steven walk out on the podcast.
It was definitely one of the segments of all time.
Yes, it was definitely one of those.
Yeah. All right, so Steven, for our next topic, so that second topic we just talked about was kind of something I thought about after a biology class.
Right.
And this next one is also kind of like that too, where I was just thinking about this. About the fact that there are terms and like also illnesses, diseases, like a whole bunch of things that are named after people. And
Right.
and like basically what I want to like talk about here is just like imagine your legacy. Like what your name will be associated with is something that is like a disease that like kills people. That's the legacy you leave behind.
I mean, that is kind of an unfortunate legacy. Not gonna lie.
Just having your name associated with this, people don't think about the person behind the name. They just think of the disease that has the name.
I mean, to be fair though, like, there's for diseases in particular. Like, I know there's other things too, but for diseases in particular, you have to think about the fact that like we don't generally blame like individual people for causing
Yeah, I know
a
that.
disease. So
I know
what I'm saying is
that.
like for diseases that are named after people, it's usually just gonna be like whoever the first person was that got it, or like a person who like discovered it and decided to name it after themselves or something like that. So you think about your legacy being a disease, but it's not necessarily a all negative thing, and it could have negative connotations depending on how people in the future decide to look at it, but it's generally not going to be in terms of like, you know, you being associated with the disease, like the bad part of it. It's more of the fact that you're associated with discovering the disease, or like, you know, something like that.
And I understand that, but I just kind of like looking at it more in a way of just like, if I were to discover a disease or something and people call it the William Duke disease, and it's just like, oh, I don't want William Duke. That'd be awful. That'd be an awful thing to get. I would not. You don't want to get William Duke, and you're like, nah. That's just kind of the thing where it's just like, obviously, a lot of people would know already what the reasoning is, but just like, when you want your name associated and said when it comes to good things, but just like having it said about bad things is just like, I don't know. It's just something about that. It's both kind of funny and also kind of tragic to me. But again, it's probably me looking too deep into it. It's just like most of these people who name it after themselves, they probably don't care. You know what I mean?
And that's the other thing too. It's not like the term for the disease is just being pinned on someone. Like, oh, we're just gonna name this disease after that guy. It's more, it's more in terms of like people discover diseases and then name them after themselves. It's like you said, they don't really care that it's a disease and that's their legacy.
Right.
They just want their name on something.
Right, but it was just kind of a funny thought of just like, or like funny / tragic. I don't know. It was the type of thought that made me laugh. Just like, so it's like, I'm going to be remembered for all the good reasons. And then years later, like down the road, it's just like, their name is associated with something that's just like,
I don't want to get that. If I get that, I might die.
If I get William Duke, I might die. That might be the title of this episode.
The title of the episode: William Duke will kill you, but not in the way you think.
No. I'm just gonna make it the title of the episode. Will kill you.
Will kill you. Don't take that out of context, by the way.
Yeah, that might be taken as a threat. Usually we'll see it, take it out of context, and be like, "Oh, whoa, this is a threat right here. Let me just go ahead and delete your entire channel." Just like
YouTube. Oh, this guy vaguely made a slightly threatening statement with respect
okay, so maybe
to.
not that. You know what would be even better? Just say, "Will is deadly."
Will is deadly.
You don't want to catch Will.
You don't want to catch Will. If you don't want to get the Will virus.
The Will virus. Just William 19.
William 19.
The William 19. Make sure you don't catch the William 19 virus. But yeah. That's for sure going to be the episode title.
Be sure to sanitize and wash your hands so that you can avoid the William 19 this year.
The William 19 virus.
I guess in this case it would be the William 23, but...
Yeah. Or if I want to, I could discover a new disease and name it after the podcast.
The to whom it concern disease.
The concern disease.
The description for the disease is to whom it may concern.
The who
This may
disease.
kill-
No. It's gonna be called the who disease.
Oh no!
Because our old channel was named Who.
Oh no!
And it's a disease. So
I just got diagnosed with who? Who? Yeah, right. Who? Wait, but who is that? Yeah, it's called Who.
What's even funnier? You wanna know what's even funnier about that?
No. I just had the best idea. We can't just call the disease Who. That would be too simple. That would be too bland and plain. Just
I think I know where you're going with this.
Just the word Who. You can't have that. No, the disease is very specifically named. That Snoop Dogg clip of him saying Who.
No. I thought you were gonna say it needs to be Who with the two question marks.
No,
One
it
spaced
does.
out.
It does, but it's very specifically the Snoop Dogg clip of the word.
The Who quoted by Snoop Dogg virus.
Yes. Snoop
That's
Dogg.
gonna be the most confusing name ever. No one's gonna know why it's called that.
Snoop Dogg is the only one who can say the name correctly because it's his quote. Snoop Dogg just going.
Imagine that's what. No. Imagine that's what he catches, and it's like, I got the Who virus.
I got who?
I got the Who virus.
No, Snoop Dogg's looking around. They're wondering why everybody is saying like this disease is named after his quote in specific. That's just gonna end up being his legacy.
His legacy. That's amazing.
Not as a famous rapper, but as someone who made a quote that a disease got named after.
Okay. So I got distracted by something. I was checking my phone. I've been waiting all day
Will
for a.
checking his phone during the podcast. When
No, I was waiting for a grade to come in, for something to be graded finally. It was a paper that I've worked hard on, and I was hoping, praying that it'd be a good grade. And I finally got it.
You failed. You failed.
It's an 80 out of 100, so I'm satisfied.
I mean, that's not terrible. That's a solid B.
Yeah. So I'm happy. I'm happy, boy.
It's a solid B, even more solid than the D.
Okay, and now on to the final topic. Wow, okay, Steven.
Hey, I just said the D. I didn't say who's D.
That doesn't make it better. In fact, I think I'm going to go on to record and say that was probably the worst thing you've ever said on in the history of ever.
In the history of ever, not just on the podcast, just in all.
The worst thing anyone could have possibly said.
In all of the words.
You've achieved it. You've achieved the absolute worst thing to say, no matter what context.
No matter what context, no matter who says it or when it was said, those words are absolutely the worst possible string of words that could be uttered by a human being.
And yeah. But anyways, but we will talk about some competition with that of like the worst things to ever hear with this final topic, and this is the and we've talked about this in some length before about YouTube comments, but this time around, I want to talk about the comments that you typically see on YouTube Shorts.
Now, I want to be clear. I want to disclose something before we go in, or not disclose, but basically just kind of give my like perspective on this before we go in. I do watch YouTube Shorts relatively regularly, just kind of like, as a way to kill time when I have nothing better to do. But I don't typically look at the comments on Shorts, so I'm unfamiliar with like what kind of trends would be present.
And that's why I'm here today to educate you, Steven. You're welcome. and also maybe this is an algorithm thing, and maybe some of y'all like listening or watching have never come across these, but these are some of the most common ones that I've personally seen. So first off, whenever there's like a clip of like something crazy going on, like someone like snowboarding down a hill or something like that, there's always a comment that says shout out to the cameraman. The cameraman never dies.
No, I have actually seen that comment trend before, not specifically on Shorts, but like on like full videos, like especially compilation
all these
videos.
Comments are also present on other YouTube videos, not just Shorts, but yeah.
They're just most common on Shorts, but I've seen them on like compilation videos. Like you'll see compilations of just like, like funny fails or something like that, stuff like that, or just like the craziest stuff happening, and somebody will comment like shout out to the cameraman.
Now, my personal favorite is when they say that the cameraman never dies, which is funny to me specifically because I'm actually going into like trying to be a cameraman.
Yeah. And also
if only that was
memes
true.
memes from like movie clips, like movie clips, like especially from non-live action movies, they're still in a realistic style. Then like obviously there's some impossible shots because it's animated, it wasn't actually shot on camera. But there's a meme about like the cameraman in the movie, like The Flash, for example, is one that I can think of. Like they'll make a joke about like how fast the Flash is, and there's like the cameraman.
Yeah, and also something else that bugs me is just like sometimes they put it in like context where it doesn't even make sense that there's a cameraman. Like someone will like have a GoPro on, and it's clearly that, but some people will still think it's a cameraman.
They
just
my
right
God,
in front
they
of the
are the
person
cameraman
doing something crazy.
The creator of the video should like reply to the comment and be like, "You called."
And also like there's other instances where it's just like there's like a simulation of like space and it like goes out to like show all the planets and stuff, and there'll be a comment that's like shout out to the cameraman.
Shout out to the cameraman.
Clearly a simulation, and it's just like sometimes with these people, it's hard to tell whether they're being ironic or whether they're actually being serious. Because with Next Generation, it's kind of hard to tell the difference.
There are people who believe that the moon landings were a setup and were faked and stuff, and that's kind of a little bit too political for the podcast, so I'm not really going to go into that. But those people are out there.
Yeah, but I'm just more saying. Okay. Let me move on real quick to the next type of comment that I always see. It's always, give this man an Oscar. Give this, the editor needs a raise. This man needs an Oscar. Like, it's always Oscars. It's never any other type of award. It's always Oscars.
Probably, my guess is probably because Oscars are like the most like stereotypical type of like honorary reward. Because like Oscars are a very prestigious award that's given to like very established, very well-known people, and so that's kind of stereotyped as like the grand award. It's like it's a meme because like obviously a single YouTube creator is probably not going to win an Oscar, so it's a meme.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's about all I gotta say about that. And also, it's funny when I see people say like the editor needs a raise whenever I see like a short like that has some heavy editing.
Yeah.
And like, don't get me wrong, like editors, like if they're doing their job well, they should be paid like a good amount for like what they do. But at the same time, though, it's just like there's some shorts where it's very clear the creator behind it is also the one editing it, and there's
Yeah.
not even any like super special stuff going on. But they're just like the editor needs a raise, the editor needs a raise.
And again, like even
That's not a bad thing to say, though.
Yeah.
I'll say that.
I mean, it's
But it's just
really
kinda
it's really
funny.
a way of complimenting the editor, kind of.
And it's just like none of these are necessarily bad. It's just repetitive, seeing
Yeah.
them over and
I've
over
seen
and
it-
over again.
I've seen again, like outside of the shorts seen on like normal YouTube videos, I've seen it on some videos that were heavily edited, especially ones that are like, you know, like kind of the format how the Who videos were, how we did those, where it was just like edits on top of everything.
Yeah.
It'll be videos that are kind of like that, and people will comment like, whoever edited X timestamp deserves a raise.
Why don't people tell me I need a raise? I edited all those Who videos. Why don't people tell me I need a raise? Because I do need a raise.
Probably
I
'cause
haven't earned anything because I did all that for free.
Probably because nobody actually saw the
I
Who
do need a
videos.
raise.
We got like
Yeah.
what, 5 viewers? I just, for some reason, my mind just randomly went to that scene in episode 4 where Will like lays on my car and he's like, Honda car, more like Honda car.
Yeah. I remember that.
I still drive that same Honda.
Yeah, meanwhile, that car that was featured in that video didn't last very long because
Yeah.
shortly after, things happened and I had to
Will-
get a new car.
Will did a thing.
Yeah.
That involved a car. That involved the car not
and it
being
involves
functional after
another
the
car
thing
and
happened.
a less than favorable outcome. We'll put it like that.
Yeah. And a signaling illumination device that may or may not have gone from a green wavelength to a red wavelength of light.
Okay. Yeah. Basically, what we're trying to say is I got into a car wreck and I had to get a new car. And I just wanted to point that out because I made a joke about a car wreck at the beginning, like telling people like to turn right if they're listening or whatever. But but I also wanted to preface this by like how that's obviously a joke and you need to drive safe, like
Yes.
not get into a wreck. Because I know what getting into a wreck is like, and thankfully it wasn't severe or anything, but it was like tailbone, and you know it was traumatizing. But you know what I mean.
Traumatizing. And it kind of ruined the car. But you know what? Will had
Kinda.
the old car that Will drove, the blue one that was featured in that video, was a Mitsubishi, and he totaled the Mitsubishi. So guess what car he decided to go get after he needed a replacement? Another Mitsubishi.
Another Mitsubishi.
So I can
But it's a good car.
so I can
And
still
I've learned
say
to drive safe.
I can still tell Will, you have a Mitsubishi.
Oh yeah, and also episode 3. There's
Yeah.
a very funny edit. I'm not gonna tell you what it is because y'all need to go see it. Watch
I
our
still-
content, please.
I still remember my
Yeah, you don't have to do it. I love
reaction
y'all.
video.
I can do
I
whatever
think
y'all want. I like to give y'all the freedom of choice.
I think episode 3 was actually the episode where like I started doing actual reactions to the episodes and not ones that were like right after I
I
had
think
already
you've
watched
been
it.
doing reactions, even for the first one.
Well, I did do reactions, but it was like after I'd already watched the episode. Episode 3 was
Yeah,
like
that's
the first.
true.
Episode 3 was like the first episode where I did a first time reaction, and I laughed.
Right, okay, that's true.
I laughed so hard at that edit at the end. Go look on my channel where I have all of my reaction videos to the Who videos posted.
Well, I don't link your channel, so you're gonna have to go on the video and comment your comment. Make sure people find it.
I will leave a comment below this video when it comes out on Friday for a
Yeah,
link to my
I'm gonna
YouTube
hold
channel.
you to that, by the way. I'm gonna hold you to that. Matter of fact, hold on.
He's gonna make a note of it. He's gonna make a note of it right now.
There you go. I sent him a DM saying, remind Steven to comment on video.
Remind Steven to comment on video. Lovely.
I'll send him reminders too.
He'll send me lots of reminders. He'll yell
Lots
at
of
me.
reminders.
He'll yell at me. He'll threaten me with death.
I'll go to your college and I will yell at you.
He will come to my college and he will decorate my apartment with Alabama themed decor.
I'll do. Yes, I'll do it.
And I will probably be shot dead because I live in Auburn.
Oh no. Not shot dead. That'd be insane. But
Anyway.
yeah.
I mean, to be fair, salty Alabama fans have done some pretty crazy things. I wouldn't put it past
Yeah.
Auburn fans to do. Anyway, moving on to the other.
So I got one more type of comment that I see all the time, and after that we'll end the episode. It's the type of comment where they'll say something and then they'll get a lot of likes, and then they'll like edit it to where it's like, edit, Mom, I'm famous. Thanks for all the likes. And it's always that phrase, just, Mom, I'm famous. It's like, Mom, get the camera. Look at this comment I made. And I would like to let y'all know, by the way, that Steven is typing a
No,
fifth
you don't
type.
need to break the fourth wall.
This is quite a precedent on this episode. Not only do we have 4 topics, not including Connie's segment, we now have 5. And it says another personal story from Steven. So so go ahead, Steven, and tell us about your personal story.
It's not a long one. It was just something that I kind of wanted to mention at the beginning, but I forgot. But I wanted to tell you about this. So I live in an apartment, right? And I live with 2 roommates. One of my roommates.
Interesting. And that's always please. No, go ahead.
One of my roommates did a bit over the weekend where he is now long story short, one of my roommates is now in the possession of I believe the number was 10.8 something gallons. Yes, gallons of white Monster energy drink.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Some say that might be a hold on. Some say that
Monster size amount of monsters.
Yeah. But they're all in like the 24-ounce cans, and he did it for a reason. I don't know, because he likes
for
Monster.
a bit.
Yeah,
that's what
bit.
he said. He did for a bit.
Well, he did it he's actually gonna drink them because he likes Monster, but the reason he got them like all at the same time was for the bit.
Just for the funny.
Yeah.
He did it just for the funny.
So yeah, he showed me like he set them up in his room. He has like an entire shelf just stocked with Monster in his room now.
That's funny. But yeah.
So that's it. That's all that I had to say. Yeah.
Thanks for watching, y'all, and as always, please like and subscribe for another episode of To Whom It May Concern.
Concern.
Peace.